thank Zach Avery for a really great question. He's asking how to keep his students a little bit safer in half hero or full reclined hero pose. And I wanted to just go through just a little bit of my stability cues in case you also have issues with this pose. Usually towards the end of a sequence, you're very warmed up, you've had a lot of opportunity to stretch the front body, even the front of the ankles, hip flexors, back extension, chest extension, and a lot of really good opening through the quads. People who are concerned about this pose have knee trouble. So I'm going to teach this in sequences, but to start, everybody, even if you're very flexible and you nail this pose, I always start the cues in upright posture. So you're sitting up, you're high, and we're looking for a couple things. Slightly tucked tailbone, so it gets rid of the extension in your back. Slightly tucked tailbone. Tops of the feet need to press down into the mat, almost like you're initiating lifting off the ground. That's going to activate the front of the body and help keep your pelvis in neutral. The last thing too is just a slight inward pressure of the thighs. So when you sit in this pose, if your knees start to open, we want to bring you back in those. So with those three things really are my key. You have to be able to press the tops of your feet, you have to be able to keep a tailbone tuck, and you have to be able to keep your knees about hip width distance. With those three things, then you can go backwards and work backwards and work backwards. As soon as you lose the ability to maintain those three stabilizing cues, that's where you stay for the day. So I'll show you the full sequence, the full pose in its deepest expression. Sitting in between the knees, pressing down on the feet, tailbone tuck, slight activation inward, and starting to work your way back, keeping those three things, keeping those three things, keeping those three things in full pose. If you are not open enough, if you lose the ability to tuck the tailbone, your pose is going to look like this. It's going to be very extended and uncomfortable on the back. So the tailbone tuck is opening the front body, keeping the pelvis safe, lightly pressing through the tops of the legs, lightly pressing the thighs inward. If that looks a little bit crazy, I'm going to show individual pictures of different modifications. So a little bit of a modification. I'm going to sit on the blanket again to keep my hips a tad higher than my knees. I have those three stabilizing cues, pressing down, tailbone tuck, thighs hip width distance, and I'm working my way back, maybe to blocks. And this could be a great place to stay in class that day. Deep belly breathing to activate the pelvic floor, tell your brain you're safe. Slowly working down. I feel safe here, so I'm going to keep going. Tops of the feet lifted, tailbone tucked, thighs in. And I feel safe here, so I'm going to go all the way down. Now the blanket is actually going to keep you more extended, so if you're going into that full expression, make sure you can handle more of a sacrum lift. If you have knee surgeries, any injury through the knees, and this pose is not available to you, here are a few other ways so you feel like you're working towards something in class without having to skip out. Right away, just sitting like this may be an option. So one thing I like is just a seated, tucking the toes underneath, putting a blanket underneath the knee crack, the crack in behind the knees. And this is going to elevate you and keep you high as you're still opening through the arches and you have a chance to work on those three things. So tailbone tuck, pressing through the tops of the feet so my quads are activated, and then pressing the thighs inward. This is a good option for class if you're working your way into this full expression. If the deep bend in the knees is not available to you at all, when a teacher talks about going into this reclined or full hero pose, maybe camel is for you that day. So camel pose is opening through the front body, gives you a chance to work on all three cues, but in more of an upright posture. So pressing through the tops of the feet, my knees are hip width distance, blocks are behind, pressing the hips forward, starting to bend only at the knees, find your blocks, then release the hips forward, extend through the heart. Camel pose. Coming out of camel, always supported sacrum, and sitting back through the mat. If you'd like me to demonstrate any other poses like this and break down some safe, intricate steps to help you in your practice, just comment below or reach out. Have a great night.